Greetings, I am ambivert.brutal and I am collaborating with black metal artists. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing a band from Michigan. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm 𝓑𝓻𝓾𝓽𝓪𝓵 and I do everything in Tears of Anubis.
We're happy to have you. Okay, so for my
Happy to be
first
here.
question, Dibbick is described as disturbing, nightmarish, and exorcism of your personal demons. Can you talk about what personal experiences or emotions shaped this release?
So a lot of the music stems from my dealings with my PTSD, um, genuine anger and hatred towards what has happened to me and what has happened to those I care about. Um, my experiences aren't entirely unique, but my way of processing these things, they're challenging. So one of the one of the final straws into where I needed to do something constructive was one of my coworkers. He was a new father, fantastic artist. He was a martial artist, really solid guy. He was guilted into working. Last time I spoke to him is I think it was like 60 days straight, and he ended up exiting and left a newborn and a new wife, and nothing was done for him. There was no investigation to how long he worked. So I that kind of pushed me to start. Well, I was reading the 𝓑𝓾𝓾𝓪𝓵, which is it's a it just it's a doctrine in how to be it's the way of the samurai. And it teaches vengeance, but in a productive way, to strike and to seek retribution for what has happened. So I wanted to start there and deal with deal with that in that theme in a productive way that isn't entirely harmful, if that makes any sense.
Chaotic, right?
Yeah, absolute chaotic, 100% chaotic.
That's cute though. And you said this project was a better alternative to ending it all. So what does it mean for
Yeah.
you to turn that pain into sound?
So it's liberating. It's it's a relief. I don't I don't live with every song that I compose. I don't live with this what I describe as a demon on my back, just reminding me and pushing the issue. So it's a very healing experience to turn this inner turmoil into a thing that you can share. And if there are other people out there who are suffering as I am suffering, that we can at least we can connect with shared trauma or at least understanding of each other
With the music, correct?
with the music. Yes.
There's a chaotic beauty in the blend of black metal and harsh noise. How do you approach the balance between structure and total sonic destruction?
It it seems like it's a natural process. I would say it's attributed to the flux and flow of the situation that I'm focused on when I'm composing one of these pieces or putting together, producing one of these pieces. Um, I'm reliving for the last time because with PTSD you're there, so you're reliving that situation. So you're I'm pouring all of that into the structure of the song. So it's how it happened. So I'm not following a traditional song structure, or at least I'm not trying to. If it happens, it happens. But I try. I want the process to be as natural as possible and just let it happen.
That makes sense. Pretty much like letting all the energy into the music that you're creating.
Right. It's you, black metal's raw and harsh noise is raw and humans are humans are raw. So it is it's almost a perfect expression of humanity
That makes
or
sense.
of your humanity.
The For my next question, and I hope I pronounce it correctly, the track
Sure.
titles Loki at Inferos, Stillborn, and Esperivare. Oh, I can.
Sorry about that. It's
Um,
fine. It's all Latin.
yeah, are deeply evocative. Can you walk us through the themes or ideas behind a couple of them?
So I used Latin to switch to bring them more into an occult light. So I treat each track as if it is a spell and a grimoire. So this is an actual work with an intent. So with the theme of vengeance for Dibbick in particular, these I want something to happen. This is going to sound really malevolent, but it is. I want some result from what I am composing about the individuals who have transgressed against myself or those I care about. So using Latin pushes that I feel into that realm. So 𝓑𝓻𝓽𝓻𝓽, it's speaking to the undead. It's a petition to cosmically and karmically engrave into the ether the transgressions of the individuals I'm writing about.
That's very interesting. That's the first I heard of something like this. I like that.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm a, it's you're, I've been a magi or a magic practitioner for decades, and there are different mediums that you can use for your spell work. I typically don't participate in baneful magic. However, this is actually an analogy that was told to me a couple of days ago. If there's an individual that you would want to slap in real life, it's okay to push back what they have pushed upon you. So that's where I am with that.
And then what drew you to the name Tears of Anubis? Is there a spiritual or symbolic connections to the Egyptian deity? Deity, sorry.
Yes, yes. So I've been working within the Egyptian pantheon for about 30 years. Yeah. So in the in the Judgment of Osiris, Anubis is actually your liaison into the underworld, and he weighs your heart against Mot's feather on Mot's scales. I don't know if you've heard this before.
I have.
And if your heart is lighter than Mot's feather, you proceed to the underworld.
I have
If your heart is heavier than Mot's feather, your heart is then fed to this multi faceted creature called a Met, and he or it consumes your heart, and you don't get to pass on to the underworld. And Tears of Anubis is a commentary on the lamentation of Anubis. He's a guide. He wants to help you. It's a it's to remind us to keep our hearts as pure as we can. We're humans, but to be aware of our actions and to reflect on what we're doing and how we affect other people. We do have to forgive and things of that nature, but the pure of heart is something that's it's kind of cliche, but it's something to strive for, even though imperfection is inevitable in being what we are.
true. That's all true. And how did your collaboration with Lithic Records come about, and what has their support meant for this release?
Um, Lithic's support was everything with this release. I I found Lithic Records on Etsy. I've been collecting cassettes for a while, and I like to blindly purchase a cassette purely on aesthetic. So I liked the way they present the cassette is to me it's beautiful. Uh, Brent is he's the owner of the company. He he has a number of releases, Barnacle and Forgotten Phantoms, and these cassettes are gorgeous. So I purchased them half jokingly, half serious. I just reached out, said hello. What does one have to do to be on the label? I was barely finished with this release, with putting Dibbick together, and he's like, "Send me your stuff." And I sent him my stuff, and he dug it. And they strive to push music on the fringe and present avant-garde soundscapes, noise. There are some metal stuff that sounds like it should be on the Blade Runner soundtrack. There's a lot of great stuff on that. So when he when he said he wanted me on the label, he did everything. I designed the J card, picked the color of the cassette, and designed the label, but he by hand put these cassettes together and was really supportive. And it's still surreal to me that someone out of the goodness of their heart just did this. So it meant everything to me.
That's amazing, though. You had the support.
I didn't expect that. I had ordered, a bunch of, I wanted it to be a purple cassette. I'm a, I'm a Wu-Tang fan, so it had to be a purple cassette, right?
Mhm.
So, but I bought a bunch of purple cassettes and I was just gonna slap my music on there and just hide it in public places. But no, it turned out to be a real legitimate release.
That's awesome. I'm happy to hear that. And also, so your music is intentionally uncomfortable. What role do you think discomfort plays in creating meaningful art?
I mean, meaningful art, of course, is subjective, but we want art, no matter the medium, we want to feel something when we consume it or participate within it, right? So most of my existence up until recently has been incredibly uncomfortable. Like most people, and again, this isn't unique, but it's just a representation of how I feel from a genuine perspective. And as long as something makes you feel something genuine, something real, not like you listen to some songs and you're like, I don't feel anything about this. I don't even hate it. It's lukewarm water. Then it's nothing. But as long as it makes you feel something, it's art, meaningful art.
Of course. And what kind of gear or sound sources do you rely on to create extreme textures in your music? Any
I
uncomfortable?
do a lot of I do a lot of weird stuff. I'm one of those weird guys that walks around with his recorder on a hair trigger. So if I hear a sound that I find interesting or unique, I'm going to record it and find some way to manipulate it.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I have a list of all the tools that I use. I kind of I can't remember them all. I apologize.
no worries.
Um, I use a stereographic generator. I hide images in my music. So if you listen to the with a sonogram, you'll actually see faces of people.
Oh, that's
I'm
cool.
not going to name names or tell you why, but I
Yeah.
don't want to get sued. But there's faces in some of the songs. I use frequency generators, certain frequencies. Like I have the ghost frequency in one of the songs that's meant to make your eyeballs vibrate and make you feel feel uncomfortable. I used to also use a stylogram or stylograph. Oh my God, what are they called? I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
A stylophone, which is basically a really old synthesizer with a stylus, and you can make
Sounds?
sounds. Sounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what else do I use? I'll rig up. I just recently rigged up a microphone to a practice pad to a multi-effects pedal to an amplifier, and I'm using that for a percussion in a track I'm working on right now. And I'll just bang on surfaces or metal or use tools, stuff like that. There's my long-winded answer to that. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. That's very interesting though, and that's unique. And for my
Thank you.
next, yeah? Oh, yeah, sorry. You're welcome. And for my next question, do you view Tears of Anubis more as a musical project, a form of therapy, or a ritualistic act, or all three?
It's all three. I mean, it's there again. There's intent to what I'm doing. I expect a result, and I expect every time it's listened to, thought about, consumed, that intent is coming is becoming manifest. And I'm much happier since I started this project, working towards something creative, creating something, connecting with other people. That's been great too. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's as a music project, something that I can call my own. I've been in and out of a lot of different projects, struggled with visions with other people, and it's not like, there was animosity or anything. I think we all wanted to do different things. That happens a lot
Oh,
in
yeah.
the scene I feel over here. But yeah, it's definitely all three.
So you're better off with your own project because you don't have to collide or clash with other heads, right?
Right. I mean, it's like I miss when I lived overseas, I miss collaborating with people, but it always has to be, this is a relationship, so it has to be the right people.
True.
And we have to gel at least 80% of the time we have to at least agree on what we're doing. And if we can't agree on even a genre or a subgenre that we're working on, we're already struggling and we haven't even played a note yet.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Yeah, it's I've done it way too many times.
So you know better. And
Yeah,
and for my final question, what's next for Tears of Anubis? More releases, live rituals, or new sonic territories to explore?
I'm going to continue to experiment. There are things that I would like to do. I haven't done a public ritual. I think I'm approaching a decade, and that was with another project. I would like to do a public ritual. I don't I, hiring or I would have to get session musicians or some like-minded people to maybe do something live. I don't know if that will ever happen. It's never been on the radar. Just primarily just composing, producing, and releasing. I am already working on two new songs, and I would like to have another release out within, like in a year. I think a release a year would be great. Um, you know, Life and family life and career and all that takes priority, but I'm still going to continue to compose.
That's awesome. I know life happens, so you gotta go at your own pace. And yeah,
Yeah,
you go on your own pace because you have no one to tell you what to do.
right. And that's the hell. I don't have to coordinate a band practice, and I
Exactly.
know that's other artists struggle with that. And if you're with a good crew and you want to work it out, great. The more mature I get, it's harder to coordinate, especially with family and kids and all that stuff. But yeah, it's easier to work on my own. Um, yeah, no one tells you what to do.
Yeah, that's true.